In this video, we're going to talk about fstrings, and this is just a way to format our strings a little bit better and to help us not have as many errors when we're trying to put together variables and text. So I've already put out here a little bit of code. I've set up a variable name. I've set that to a string student, a variable age. I've set that to an integer 32, and I've set up a print line how we would do it up to this point in these videos. So I've hard coded hello, plus I've added the variable name, plus I started our quotes again because I hard quoted our end our quotes here. Oops, let me change that back real quick. And then we got plus. I've changed our variable age to a string so that we can do this concatenation. Plus, and then I've done another quote with a period and then close quote. So when we print this out, this period here, let's take that period out and we'll print that, and now I've got hello student, you are 32. And again, that's how we've done it up to this point. It's just a bunch of stuff to have on your print line, and it's a very easy way to make mistakes. So we're going to pull in this f string. I'm going to set up another variable name. We'll call it name1, and we're going to give this one the name student as well. And then we'll do age 1. This time let's do 23 just so we can see that there is a difference. And in our print statement is where all of this is going to take place for this particular example. So we're going to go print, and we're going to do our brackets open and closed. And the way we're going to start this is we're going to type in F and then our quotation marks. So this F is our format. That's the F in the F string. And then we're going to start putting in what we want it to output. So we're going to hard code hello. And this time when we go to add a variable, all we need to do is an open curly brace, the name of the variable, and a closed curly brace. We don't need to end our quotation marks. We don't need the pluses. We don't need any of that stuff. And this is inside these two quotation marks. So let's keep going. You are, and then our age, again, open curly brace. And I do need to go back and add 1 there, so we're pulling from that variable. And then our period. And when we print that out, we get the same thing, other than the fact that I accidentally deleted this period up here. We get the same thing as we did up here, only it is much easier to read here. So let's look at this when we call a function. So if you have not watched the function video yet that we did, please go back and look at that, or if you're not sure about functions, review that video. I'll put the link in the description so that you can follow along with this example. But we're going to start off by defining a function. We're going to call this, make this, take everything and make it lowercase. So we'll call our function 2 lowercase, and we're going to pass a variable into this function. So we'll just call that input. Don't forget your colon. And remember, in our functions we need to have it tabbed over in Python. We want this to return our lowercase, so our variable input, and this is our string method lowercase. I'll add a link in the description as well to a list of string methods. We've covered that in another video as well, but this lower just makes everything lowercase. So we're done with that function. We need to set up a couple of variables. And we'll say student Joe, and we're going to do this uppercase F for student and uppercase Joe for Joe. And we're going to say print, and inside our print function is where we're going to call our function. So we're going to start this again by F and our quotation marks. So now that we have that F, everything in here we can call using a curly brace. So we're going to call our function by open curly brace, and we named our function to lowercase. That's how we call our function there. And we're going to pass our variable name and close curly brace. And let's say that our student Joe is funny, and we'll hard code that. So again, here all we did was in our print statement, we set up our format F, open quotations, close quotations, and then we're able to call our function using these open curly braces because of our format function here. So when we run that, we can see that it took our student with a capital S and our Joe with a capital J, and it turned it all lowercase because it passed it up to our function, turned it all lowercase, and then printed out our hard coded text there as well. So there is a way we can do this without writing a whole function for this. If we didn't want to write a whole function, we could have said print, and then bring in our F again with our quotation marks and our open curly brace. And this time we're just going to call the string function straight in this print function. So we're going to say name, which is our variable name here. And just like we did in our function up here, all we need to do is say dot lower. This time we do not need to pass a variable in here because we're doing it all right here in this one print statement. We'll close that up and say is funny. And when we print that, we can see that it does the exact same thing as our function did. Only we did it all inside of this print statement rather than writing a function for it up here and calling that function. Alright, one more example. Let's look at setting up multiple lines, and we'll start off by again setting up our variable. We'll bring Joe back. And we're going to set up his profession as being a student. And I was reading an article online the other day, and they were talking about Python programming. And one of the examples they gave was an affiliation being Monty Python, which I found funny. So let's say Monty Python. And we're going to set up our message here. So in our message, we're going to do this on multiple lines. So we set up our variable message equals, and we're going to assign it to a bunch of stuff here. So we need our parentheses, and we're going to start our first line by F in our quotes, hi, and we'll call our variable name. Go to our next line. Again, all this is indented the same. F U R A, and we'll bring in our profession. variable. And we'll start our next line. F, you are learning the, and we'll pull in our affiliation. It'd help if I spelled affiliation correctly. And then we need to print out our message. And make sure you go back and change the spelling of affiliation here. And we'll run that, and we can see that we get everything on one line. It's pulling in our variables. So now we want to set this up so that it prints on multiple lines. The way we're going to do that is we're going to replace this parenthesis with F. So I'm just going to copy all of this, and we'll do it right down here. So we're going to replace this parenthesis with F, and then we're going to do triple quotes. So F triple quotes, and we can now remove all of our quotes and the F in front of each of these lines. So I'm removing all of the quotes, and I'm removing the F in the quote in front. And then on this parenthesis here, again, we're going to close it by triple quotes, just triple quotes right there. So when we run that, we can see we have, "Hi Joe, you're a student, you're learning Monty Python," all on separate lines. So I hope that you can use this F string in your next program. It makes things so much easier to read, and you're less inclined to make errors when you're writing your programs.